I mean, is civilization supposed to just come to a halt so you can pretend you're Mary Poppins? And look at this guy. He's either taking her photo or she's dancing in front of a crime scene. This guy could have been shot in broad daylight for all we know. Probably by her. Oh, you think that's a stretch? You're looking at a grown woman playing in traffic. You learn not to do that when you're 5. Something's obviously not right in the chicken coop. Who knows what she's capable of? I mean, look, you guys are stopping traffic, wrecking hotel rooms. The mail is coming late all the time. You guys are really becoming a burden, you know that? There needs to be some sort of influencer siren the city can sound to wake you people up.
Huh. Maybe it's because people are so self-indulged why they can't realize that they're losing their freedoms. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Lukadowski of WeAreChange.org. Very important news today. Just like almost every day in 2020, in 2021, it's not going to stop. It's not going to get any slower from here. It's only going to ramp up as even Democratic liberal thought leaders like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are now calling in to, quote, rein in the media. Since, of course, according to her, we just don't have enough censorship by the tech oligarchs. There's just not enough few people controlling the most important aspect of our lives. And that is the ability to be able to talk and to communicate with one another. Controlling that right is extremely dangerous, and that's why this is going to be the focus of our video, as well as all the latest current events happening right now, including the latest photos and videos emerging of the National Guard being deployed in massive numbers to the Capitol right now, as they are congratulated by politicians like Nancy Pelosi and then told to literally sleep on the marble floor, which shows you that if you're in the military, your leaders will treat you like crap, will abuse you, and then tell you to sleep on the floor, of course not social distancing, which in their own belief system will cause you to get sick and die from the conholio sickness. They're literally setting themselves up for defensive perimeters and arming themselves to the point where hundreds of soldiers are forced to sleep all over the entire Capitol. And of course, those are not the only preparations being made for Inauguration Day. We're going to go over more in just a few moments. As Senator Mitch McConnell said that he will not reconvene the U.S. Senate until Donald Trump has left office. And as all of this is happening, major censorship efforts are ramped up, not only against U.S. President Donald Trump, which YouTube just blocked for 7 days from publishing new videos. This is, of course, right after he just released another video, which people aren't allowed to see online. And of course, it's not just Donald Trump getting the boot, as even on Facebook, individuals that are talking about corporatism are censored, and even individuals making fun of Donald Trump are censored as well from posting satirical memes like the one that you're seeing on screen right now. As of course, if you give a few amount of people unlimited power with no accountability to censor anyone they want without any justification, they of course will abuse that power, and the censorship will eventually hit everyone, including the moderates and the left-wingers. It's only a matter of time, and that's why here on this independent media channel we have a principled stance against censorship, even for those that we vehemently disagree with, because we would rather battle out our ideas rather than just hear our own opinions regurgitated back to us. That's not something you want. That's not something that's going to progress civilization, humanity, and our way of life. And just because we talk about these very issues, let's be honest here, individuals get taken down for having some of those principled stances, and that's why I can't tell you enough. It is more important than ever to sign up on our email list. All you have to do is go to wearechange.org. The link is in the description. You click on it, and right here in the top right-hand corner, put in your email, click subscribe, and it's one sure, definite way to make sure that I get to keep the list of emails that can never be taken away from me. This is the way. This is the one sure way that I actually could still somehow exist no matter what happens. Also, I would definitely recommend you guys get a VPN. It's a virtual private network that adds an extra layer of privacy and security to your online internet experience, and it also lets you bypass content that is geo-restricted and geo-locked from you by whatever entity or special power. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week support. I like them. I personally use them. I think you will too. They are also located in the description below where you could find out more about them. Now, I think it's very fair to say that everyone is essentially on edge, especially with the mass mobilization of the military on Washington, D.C. right now. And of course, a lot of people are expecting for things to get worse here, since obviously that's what we've been warning about for years, that's going to be happening. It's here. We did our best to prevent it. National Guard troops are gearing up with rifles, riot shields, police checkpoints, barricades, walls, as of course many people fear that the worst is to come, as even Airbnb just announced that they are canceling all of their DC rentals for next week, the week of Joe Biden's inauguration. Now, I think it's fair to say, especially with the hyperbolic language, the censorship efforts, that will lead to more radicalization and crazy ideas like this being pushed onto people, which I think is fair to point out will lead to more clashes between the left and the right, as even mainline establishment Republicans, which some Trump supporters don't even like Charlie Kirk of all people, are being deemed domestic terrorists on platforms like Reddit, which was able to galvanize so many upvotes that it was the #1 post on all of Reddit. There's other individuals that are officially verified by Twitter calling for conservatives to be banned from teaching, from being police officers, doctors, lawyers, coaches, or bosses, and should only be left to meaningless, menial work. Not to be outdone with the hatred and lunacy, we have U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell, who, by the way, was just named as the Trump impeachment manager by Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, just said and compared U.S. President Donald Trump to Osama bin Laden. Yes, Eric Swalwell, the man who was heavily infiltrated by a Chinese government spy, Fang Fang, that is alleged to have consensual relations with him while spying on the U.S. government for the Chinese government. Yes, that Eric Swalwell right now is telling and comparing that U.S. President Donald Trump is akin to Osama bin Laden. Now, I'm not even a Republican. I'm not a Trump supporter. I criticize Donald Trump. But this is insane. This is crazy, hyperbolic nonsense language that's being promoted by social media, by the mainstream media, and it is inciting conflicts that we should do everything in our power to prevent. As U.S. Senate representatives like Chuck Schumer are literally calling for people to be banned from flying if they entered the U.S. Capitol. Again, a no-fly list, which was introduced after 9/11. It was heavily abused by the government. The ACLU, of all organizations, was fighting against its abuse of power, and yet today they're absolutely silent on this being introduced against, of course, the opposite political party. There's even other individuals calling for Ted Cruz to be put on an FBI no-fly list, as of course media organizations look for unflattering photos of him to continue their 2 minutes of hate. And that's essentially what it feels like, as family members are being turned in by other family members. This, of course, very heavily promoted by the mainstream media, celebrating that a teen turned in her family to the authorities for being at the Capitol during the storming of it. Now again, these 2 minutes of hate, metaphorically, are leading to some severe ramifications and will lead to blowback. We don't want that to happen, and that's why we're calling it out to prevent it. But already, some individuals who were at the Capitol that day are deciding to kill themselves because of the onslaught of hate that is coming their way because of that event. The reaction from it from the left is absolutely scary. All loss of life should at least be treated with pause and some thought and consideration, but sadly, there's individuals literally celebrating this, which shows you the temperament of our political time that is getting out of hand. The individual who committed suicide, according to some sources, was not a rioter, but was an individual who broke curfew and faced misdemeanor violations, which made him feel isolated and alone. And if forcing people to suicide wasn't enough, putting them on no-fly list, attacking them, censoring and silencing them wasn't enough, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez now is putting out the calls to, quote, rein in the media environment to, quote, prevent the spread of disinformation. This is, by the way, the same person that just previously suggested that Donald Trump's supporters should be put on lists to be held accountable for their actions. And of course, this very biased, partisan person is trying to use this incident, use this emergency to gobble up power for the state, which is coordinated with the mainstream media that has been running articles talking about how privacy is bad, encryption is bad, all these apps that allow people to communicate freely are really bad, since of course, according to them, it incites violence. Meanwhile, when we talk about institutions that are organized for this rally, we directly see it tied to Facebook, but yet that's not addressed, that's not talked about. What is, though, is something that takes away your rights, your ability, not only for free speech, but now privacy and being able to watch media from dissenting views. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also called for the censorship of the Parler app, and it essentially seems like she has gone mad with power, trying to silence and shut down anyone who doesn't believe what she exactly believes in. This is what's literally happening right now, and it's being cheered on by the corporate media establishment that is celebrating their competition being wiped out. We even have former CIA officers, along with the head of Facebook's election unit, calling for regulating more social media because they don't, quote, censor enough. Yes, this is the article by Harvard Business Review that is titled, quote, How to Hold Social Media Accountable for Undermining Democracy, by essentially pushing for something that destroys the basic element of democracy, the ability to communicate. I mean, how much more duplicitous, hypocritical, absolutely backwards, 2 + 2 = 5 Orwellian could these people get? I'm sorry, when you limit speech, when you limit communication, when you get rid of privacy, when you get rid of people's individual liberty, you don't have something that's good. You have something that's brought on by force that will essentially be able to destroy anything standing in its way, since of course any kind of accountability, any kind of transparency is eroded by the basic ability of people being able to question it. These are not private corporations. They're working with the intelligence agencies. They're working with the government. They're destroying their competition. They are absolutely monopolies that are trying to eviscerate everything good and holy from us by having full unaccountable power over individuals. And that's absolutely something that should be detested at all costs, especially slimy government officials extorting, using, and abusing an emergency to benefit themselves. We are slowly moving towards a total Chinese control grid authoritarian society. HSBC even just released a statement saying that if some of their customers refuse to wear a mask, their accounts will be closed again. This is absolutely akin to what we have seen in places like China, where there is a mass enslavement of the Uyghur Muslim population, along with their forced sterilization and organ harvesting, because according to the Chinese government and their own official embassy Twitter account, this is allowing women to be strong and independent. I'm not joking you. Look up that tweet. China is going through one of its darkest periods for human rights since, of course, Tiananmen Square. Not even according to me, but according to many human rights organizations, and the United States is literally doing its best to mimic it and follow it in its footsteps. And I say no. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely dangerous, and it's leading to a situation that will hurt everyone, whether you're a Trump supporter, a moderate, or on the left. You will understand this larger reckoning coming. It will hit you. It will affect you. And if you know anyone that is on either of these sides, send them this video so they can understand the full larger ramifications of the larger corporate, globalist-approved hammer coming down on all of us. This is essentially a bigger power grab for dominance of our political and social sphere, and they're only allowed to get away with it if we allow them to. Our voices, our likes, our clicks, you literally sharing this video, liking this video impacts a small micro vote, just like voting with your dollar, with what you incentivize, just like all the everyday actions you make that actually do matter. You matter. You're important. Your actions dictate your future. Be very conscious of them. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, hopefully here on wearechange.org if we still exist.